2, 1.
Here we go!
All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Gorowski, and I'll be your host for today. I've said this a lot this week, but we are racing towards the end of February. We only have a few days left to go, and it has been a crazy month. We've had over 40 live events. February is always a really fun month because we spend the entire month connecting with incredible women in science, exploration, adventure, and conservation from all over the world. From marine biologists to astronauts to engineers to filmmakers and to really everything in between. It's been a really fun month. Today is really busy. We've got 5 live events today, so pretty busy, and a few more events to round out the week coming up. So if you visit exploringbytheseat.com, you will find all of those live events. You can join in on the action, register to jump on a camera spot, register to tune in later, tune in live, whatever works best for your classrooms. Okay, let's get into today's event. We're taking a little bit of a virtual field trip, and we're going to spend a little time with Emmanuelle Périé-Bardout. She is a French sailor. She's a deep diver and an explorer. So trained as a yachtswoman, she moved to Svalbard and Norway, where she was first mate on a polar sailing boat. For the past 15 years, she and her husband, Ghislain, have been leading under the pole expeditions, which have taken them to the Geographic North Pole, to 2 years in Greenland with their yacht wintering in the ice, as well as through the Northwest Passage and to Svalbard. Today, the conditions are a little bit warmer where she is right now. She is in Roatán in Honduras on a really cool expedition. So she's on the boat right now. I'm going to bring her in live from backstage. Here we go. Emmanuelle, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Joe, for this nice presentation. Yes, I'm on board Y right now in Roatán, Honduras for our next mission, and we'll be there for 3 months.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So a little warmer than some of the places I mentioned before, but there's lots of cool things to explore all over the world.
Yes, definitely. We have been working for something like 12 years in the Arctic. And we will be in Antarctica at the end of the year for 3 months, but we are working now worldwide, working on the mesophotic zone. I will talk about it later, and the marine animal forest we can find underneath the ocean. So we are working with scientists from all over the world, and a lot of women in science also. But maybe we can start with a small video coming back on 15 years of expeditions.
Yeah, that sounds great. Give me one moment here to cue it up, and it should take over the screen right about now.
On est rentré avec tous nos doigts, tous nos orteils, avec les images qu'on était allés chercher, des images extraordinaires qui témoignent d'un monde de glace, un monde en voie de disparition.
Au moment où Ghislain, Emmanuelle et leur équipe traversaient l'épaisse couche de glace pour accéder au monde merveilleux qu'offre l'océan Arctique, la suite d'Under the Pole s'écrivait déjà. Avec une volonté, confronter les capacités humaines au milieu sous-marin, afin de mieux raconter et préserver les océans.
Et alors, ça fait quoi de quitter ce monde-là? Et on répond tout de suite, on reviendra.
plus on s'enfonce dans les profondeurs, plus on a l'impression d'être sur une autre planète.
Notre regard, il a beaucoup évolué depuis 12 ans. Plus que jamais, il faut mettre des moyens et de l'énergie dans l'exploration scientifique. Que c'est porteur d'espoir, c'est porteur d'avenir. On a besoin de mieux connaître les océans. J'espère qu'on va trouver des gens pour nous accompagner et nous suivre dans ces missions-là sur le long terme.
C'est l'échantillon le plus profond qui ait jamais été récolté dans le monde. C'est extraordinaire.
Et donc c'est toute la vision que l'on a du récif et de son fonctionnement qui est remise en cause.
C'est aussi la finalité de ce qu'on fait Under the Pole, la sensibilisation. Et c'est pour ça que tout l'équipage est mis à contribution aujourd'hui et tout le monde est super content de partager notre passion, de partager nos connaissances et ce qu'on fait.
Deep Life, c'est un programme de 10 ans qui s'inscrit dans la décennie des océans. On va étudier dans le monde entier les écosystèmes profonds à travers la thématique des forêts marines. Et pour ça, on a dessiné le Why Not.
Le Why Not, c'est un peu notre voilier océanographique idéal. On l'a dessiné pour être à la pointe de la plongée scientifique. À quoi ça sert ? En fait, ces écosystèmes profonds, ces mondes sous-marins, ces oasis, elles sont restées pendant longtemps dans l'ombre. Et aujourd'hui, on sait qu'on a besoin de mieux les connaître, de les découvrir pour leur conservation.
Alors notre défi à nous avec Under the Pole, ça va être de rendre visible l'invisible.
All right. That was such an awesome video. So cool. The expeditions are amazing. As a diver myself, I'd love to see you guys underwater exploring those places. The capsule, it's all pretty amazing.
Yeah. We had some great experience. Everything is not always easy. Diving in such harsh conditions is sometimes very challenging. But what do we have in common in all the oceans are this exceptional marine animal forest. So it's what we are going to talk about. If you can just go next slide. Yeah. So you can see we didn't go in every ocean yet, but quite a lot. And we found marine animal forest everywhere. So if you go next slide. Yes. So we are currently working on Deep Life scientific program. So for 10 years, we study the Mesophotic zone. Mesophotic is located between 30 and 200 meter deep. And it's a little bit our specialty at Under the Pole is deep diving. And a lot of the surface zone has been explored and studied by the past and right now, but the Mesophotic zone is more complicated to explore because it's deeper and it involves long deep, like 3.5 hours, 4 hours deep, long decompression. So that's why it's very valuable for the science to go there and to apply various scientific protocols to study marine biodiversity. Can you go next slide? And yes, so you can see on this picture, everybody knows forest on Earth. Everybody knows the importance of forest on Earth for the ecology, for biodiversity, for the climate. And the threat, you understand the threat for the forest if you see a forest being clear-cut or burning, you immediately understand the threat for biodiversity. And the same exists underwater. We have marine animal forest. It's a little bit different. It's made of fixed animals like corals, black corals, gorgonians, sponges, but it's the same, in a way, the same functionment than forest on Earth, and the same threats are happening underwater. You can compare forest burning with coral bleaching because of the rises of temperature underwater, or the bottom trawling can be compared to a bulldozer being clear-cut a forest. So that's why we try to, as we said in the video, to make the invisible visible. Can you go next slide? And so just before we work for Deep Hope, we start with Deep Life. We start with Deep Hope in French Polynesia. It was the first time that there were a huge study working on deep corals in French Polynesia. And a lot of people used to think that there were more diversity, more corals on the surface zone. And finally, we found out that we had, in the Mesophotic, more diversity of corals in French Polynesia, but also that they escaped the coral bleaching. And we found deep Mesophotic coral until 172 meters. So it was the deepest reef coral ever sampled. Can you go next slide? And this inspired to work on this deep ecosystem, but everywhere in the world, and to study them with an international team of scientists working with us. And so we went in Svalbard in Arctic, and we found the first Arctic marine animal forest made of hydrozoa that you can see it. And next slide, please. And here in Canary Island, we have beautiful black coral marine animal forests at between 70 meter and 100 meter deep. So you can see it's always different species that made the forest, but it's the same. We find the same functionment. And next slide. Here in Guadeloupe, it was a mix of sponges and gorgonias. Next slide. And here in Greece, it was a beautiful forest with sponges, but mainly with gorgonians and black corals at between 75 meter and 100 meter deep. And yes, this marine animal forests, they really work like oasis. So right now, ocean conservation is very challenging because we face a lot of threats with global warming first, but also with anthropic, with human impact on the ocean. And what we really see in this forest is that you have more biodiversity than around. That's why it helps us in the future to define how we could better protect the ocean and how to include this special biodiversity spot into conservation politics. Next slide. So right now we are here in Roatán in Honduras on the Mesoamerican barrier reef. I think it's the second biggest barrier reef in the world after Australia. And we will soon start the deep diving. We actually had started to work to 50 meter deep. There is right now a team working under the reef. And I will give you a tour of the boat to show you all the stuff we have to work here. Next slide. Yes, so just for you to picture everything. So as I told you, we dive deep, and we dive longer than normal dive. So for that, we need a special equipment, and especially we dive with what we call a rebreather. The rebreather is a closed circuit, so we don't make bubbles. We recycle the gas we breathe, and it enables us to dive very deep and very long. And then we have a lot of course, we have fins, mask, net for the sampling, camera, SMB, which are like buoy to signal where the divers are. Right now in Roatán, we have a wetsuit, but when we are in the Arctic, we have dry suit. So we have also a heating system under our dry suit, and we have scooters, which is very cool to take all this stuff with us, because we are, with everything, I think we are something like 100 kilogram. So it's very heavy what we have underwater. So we need scooter to take everything with us. And as you have seen in the video and on this picture, we have the capsule. So we don't have it now. It's capsule is for special programs only. But with the capsule, we can live underwater. We can spend days and nights under the water, and we can go and dive as long as we want, and come back in the capsule to have some rest, to eat, and to sleep. Usually, we do 3 nights and 3 days inside the capsule. And maybe soon, in 1.5 years, we will have a second capsule to go even deeper to live underwater. And we need, of course, a big dinghy to put all the diving equipment. Next slide. And so, as I told you, we have many protocols. So we have a current profiler to measure the current inside the forest, inside the marine animal forest. We have a syringe to take sediment. We have cutting pliers for the sampling, an epifauna collector. Epifauna is very, very small animals. And so the epifauna collector is a sort of vacuum cleaners, and we take the very, very small animals, and we find a lot of new species doing that. So it's very exciting. Sediment traps and photo quadra, which we are doing at every depth to compare what we found at depth and what we found, for example, at 6 meter, 20 meter, 30 meter. So we do the photo quadra at every depth. Next slide. And so, as it was Women for Science week or month, I don't know, I wanted to talk about all the amazing women that are working with us right now on the boat, but also at the office in France or everywhere in the research center. So me, I'm Emmanuelle, and I'm skipper, and I'm deep diver, and just I was raised very far from the sea, so it was a huge dream and a huge challenge for me to do that. But I just want to say that if it's your dream, it's possible to do it. And Aurélie, she's a awareness raising officer, but she's also on board to do the teacher for my kids, because I have my 2 kids on board with us, Robin and Tom, who are 8 and 12. So I can show you, they are right now doing school on board. You can see Tom here working on his small office. And Melina, she's PhD student and a scientific coordinator on board, and she's right here next to me working on her computer. You can say hello. Juliette, who is a PhD student working on ichthyology, and she arrives today, and she will train us to recognize the tropical fish we have to count underwater. Laetitia, she's scientific director working in French Polynesia and a huge specialist on coral reef and coral reef reproduction. Next slide. So, and people who are on our, I would say, base camp in France. Myrina, she is scientific coordinator for Under the Pole. Mathilde, communications manager. Megan, who is working on advocacy and conservation, with working to change what I was saying previously, the politics inside conservation to integrate the deeper zone. Claire, who is education manager, and Clarice, who is in charge of looking for partnership. We also have, of course, we have men working with us, but I just wanted to highlight today's amazing woman working with us on the project. Next slide. And yes, just a small video to show you what it looks like to work underwater. So we can play it if you want, Joe. A lot of work to prepare everything. Then, as you can see, we have everything ready on board the dinghy. That's me, Lorenzo, our French director, the speaker I was talking about, and then we start to go on the place where we will do fire. This is a deep black hole, you can see. So this is the Epiphona collector I was talking about. You can see it makes really like forest when you see the diver inside. And what is amazing is when you are in the forest, you can see that there is many more fish with us. Thank you, Joe.
All right, very cool. Well, before we do a little tour of the boat, we do have a classroom with us from Toronto hanging out with us, and they have to go a little bit early. So I want to make sure we get some of their questions in before they have to go. So they are joining us on their lunch. They're the eco team at the school. How are we doing, eco team?
Hi, thank you so much, Joe and Emmanuelle. I'll just hand that you can say hi to
Thank you. So nice to see you all.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for hanging out on your lunch today.
Thank you. And Maya, do you want to stand up and ask your question? I'm going to just ask.
How do you breathe underwater?
So, Emmanuelle, we saw briefly the rebreather, but this is Maya from ECO wondering if you can explain the breathing underwater a bit more.
Oh, yes. So very simply, we have gas. Actually, when we go deep, it's a mixture of gas, helium, oxygen, and air. And we can breathe this gas. We have something to filter. When we inspire, we have something to filter the gas and it comes back. So it makes a loop. So we don't make bubble, and we inspire inside, and we can have gas for nearly 6 hours, I would say, underwater. It's a little bit technical, but I hope it's clear.
Thank you.
All right. And then I'll just, while we have you here, we'll see if there's one more question, and then I can go get some from the YouTube chat as well.
Any other questions? Anybody wants to ask?
You can ask anything you want.
Anything you want.
Yeah, anything's fair game about what we saw today. Absolutely.
Ocean is 500.
The saltwater question? You wanted to ask if it's always salt water that you're diving in.
Yes, yes. We always work in the ocean. We never worked into lake or clear water.
And
but we have been also diving close to glacier. So sometimes we have a mix of how do you say, cool water and salt water.
Okay. And we have also Servine. If you want to come closer, we have one last question.
Great.
When did you first start diving?
I did my first dive at I think I was 12 during vacations with my parents, but then it was as I say, I was raised far from the sea. It was very expensive and difficult. I was looking at Cousteau every week. I start again really for real at 26 years old. So not so young.
Thank you so much. Thank
But then I never stop. Thank you.
Very cool. Well, Eco Team, thanks for hanging out with us in Toronto today.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right. See ya. Okay. Well, why don't we head out on a little tour, if that's okay? I'll make it nice and full screen. And then after that, I'll take some more questions from classrooms.
Perfect. Let's do that. So, as I was saying, here we are in it's like the saloon. You can see it's the place where we work, where we eat. You see the meal is ready on board. And you can see also Tom working at his office. You can say hello, Tom. And this is where we sleep. So, for example, this is my bed. I hope it's not the mess too much. And here we have another one. You can see Megan. You sure on the presentation.
Welcome in our bedroom.
2 more beds, and then again 2 more beds here, and up. So we are 13 living on board. Here you have a bathroom and toilet. You can see the toilet and another bedroom with Lorenzo working in his bed. He's our scientific director. And then we will go through the kitchen. So here you can see you have a lot of stuff to make for the camera, for the light and the photography of Under the Pole. And then here you can see the kitchen. I don't know if I can switch my camera. No, I go like that. So here you can see another bathroom here, and then here you have another bed. You have Alex, who is cameraman.
Hi.
Working on editing a new video. Here you can see the tools, things to repair. And then I will take you on the deck. So you see we are at the anchor, so in the middle of the sea. You can see Ghislain, my husband, who leads the expedition with me. Hello, Ghislain.
Hi everybody.
And you can see diving stuff here. Here, everywhere is diving stuff. Huge bottles here to make the gas mixture. Up again, bottles. And yes, then I think there is my older kid working here. You can say hello. Thank you. And yes, that's pretty everything. And the dinghy is right now at sea with a team of divers. So they will come back, I think in something than 1 hour, something like this.
All right. Very cool.
Could you see everything? Yeah?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. No, that was great. That was a great little tour. And I think you said 13 people on board?
Yeah. It's you need to be like people with you like.
Yeah.
It's a very huge collectivity, but it's very nice because I think all the people on board are very passionate by the ocean. It's a huge dream to be on such an expedition boat, working like this, doing science, having an impact. So yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, let's get a few questions here that have come in via the YouTube chat. So we have a question from some fourth graders, and they saw that you mentioned corals and sponges, but you also mentioned gorgonians, and so they're wondering what those are.
Yes, they are animals. They can look like, for example, corals like stone, or gorgonians can look like a little bit trees, but they are animals. And when they come together on a reef or on a place with a big density, they make like a sort of forest, but animal forest. That's why we call them marine animal forests, because they don't look like, but they are animals.
All right, pretty cool. This is from the same classroom of fourth graders, and they're wondering, the capsule, how does the air get down in the capsule?
Yeah. So when we took the capsule under the water, she's full of water. And then with air bottle, with gas, we put it in, and the gas just put the water away. It's like if you go in your bath and you take a glass and you put it like this, you will see that it will be air inside the glass.
All right, very cool. I've got some eighth graders here hanging out with us. They're in Illinois, and they would like to know about some of the camera gear. So they're wondering, when you're shooting the videos, what are you filming in high definition, in 4K? How do you shoot the videos?
Yes, so I'm not the cameraman, but Ghislain is, and we shoot in 4K. Ghislain, you confirm? Yes. We shoot in 4K. We have a very good camera. The name is Red. And the challenge is more to take the air very deep, because it's always complicated to take such equipment very deep. So we have very special, how do you say, caisson? Housing. Yes, housing to take the camera and the video to up to 200 meters.
Okay, very cool. And then I know that the lighting is tricky. You lose the colors as you go deeper. So what do you do to help preserve the colors down there?
Yeah, we have a lot of light. Actually, if we go without light, you would see only black. So we need light. So every divers, even if they are working, but if we do videos, they have a light on them, which is switch on, and like this you can see everything around. With lights you can pretty well see what you have around you. Yeah,
brings the color back. Very cool. Okay, so some sixth graders here joining us in Florida, and this question's from Kate specifically. Is wondering, on this expedition so far, what kind of marine life have you seen?
Hey, Kate. A lot of fish, a lot of, I would say fish, ray, stingray, eagle ray. But I can say I'm waiting to see sharks. We didn't see sharks already, which is very surprising in the Caribbean. So there have been fish a lot, I think, around, but right now there is a marine park around the island, so we can hope that we see again sharks soon. But yes, a lot of different fish species.
Yeah, and what species specifically of sharks are you hoping to see?
I would love to see a whale shark, because I know there are whale sharks at this season around here. So, and I've never seen whale shark. So it would be a huge dream to see a whale shark on this expedition.
All right. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you. Whales, biggest fish in the world, can be as big as a school bus. That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so another question here. This one is from Kevin. And we saw that you're on the boat with your family. Does that make things challenging sometimes? Or is it always kind of, just a fun experience for everybody?
Yeah, I think it makes the team as a family. It brings a family spirit also in the team member. But yes, it was challenging, and it was challenging as a couple to imagine keep doing expedition with our kids on board. But I would say we invent the way of life we wanted to have. So that's why Robin and Tom are on board always since they were born with us. And when we come back in France, they have their school, their own school. And when we are on board, they have a teacher who is doing school for them. And I think it's also a great chance for them to discover the world. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I've got some third graders in Alberta who are tuning in, and they're curious about diving under the ice. They're wondering if it's cold. Do you get nervous when you're under the ice? What's it like to dive under the ice?
Yeah, it's definitely very cold. And from my point of view, I was nervous because you're always a little bit nervous when you dive under the ice cap, actually. So you always have a line between you and the wall at the surface in the ice. So you're always linked to the surface, but it's always a little bit stressful. But at the same time, for example, the dive we did at the Geographic North Pole, it was like a space trip, you know. You are in a crystal clear water. You have a huge compression crest of ice, like cathedral of ice coming down there, sea angel around you. It's a little bit like science fiction and really another world. So you're very cold, you're a little bit stressed, but at the same time, it's like the most amazing experience I had in my life. So it was it.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. This group of third graders, someone in the class noticed a shark under the ice, and they're wondering if that was a Greenland shark.
Yes, we were very lucky to meet the Greenland shark. It's very rare. A lot of people who study the Greenland shark, they just fish the Greenland shark to study it, or they put food in the water to have the Greenland shark around. And actually, we were lucky enough to see the Greenland shark 8 times in the north of Greenland. Just like that. It was a wild encounter, and we could record a lot of video to give it to the researcher. So it was really, really amazing.
Yeah, oh, it's amazing. Very, very cool. Just out of curiosity, about how big was that shark?
They can be very big. I think they can be the second biggest carnivore after the great white, but this one they were around, I would say 4 meters, something like that.
All right, I have another question here about if you ever dive on shipwrecks, maybe during expeditions or maybe for fun.
We did it sometimes, but it's not the place that we are looking for our study. But we did it in the Northwest Passage. We found a shipwreck, and so we went on it. It was for fun, and we dive and we did images, and it was really amazing. And we have been working and sampling on the shipwreck in Canary Island because there were a lot of biodiversity. And actually, shipwreck are interesting because a lot of biodiversity fixed on the wreck. So it can be very interesting from a scientific point of view, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so back to our 8th graders. This is a great question. So you've spent, lots of time diving in polar regions. Have you noticed anything changing in those regions?
Yes, things are changing very, very fast in this area. Especially we were a lot in the Arctic, and we were living with Greenlandic people, so we also had the testimony of local people on these changes. But for example, our first expedition on the sea ice at the Geographic North Pole would not be possible anymore at that time. I mean, the airplanes that landed on the ice could not land anymore because the thickness of the ice is not big enough to have planes landing, and also just to ski on it with pulka. It's very chaotic because you have a lot of leads of open water, and so yes, it's changing very quickly.
Okay, I have one final question for you. This is from Adrian. Any advice for somebody who might be interested in a career in ocean exploration?
Yeah, I would say there is a lot of way to work in ocean conservation. If you take the example of our expedition on board, we have a sailor, diver, scientist, mechanics, cameraman, photograph, doctor, teacher, advocacy and conservation people. So there are a lot of different jobs that can take you to ocean conservation. But I would say, before finding what you want to do, being curious. As a child, I would say, yes, being curious, read about the ocean, look at documentary, and maybe if you have the opportunity, take a first dive under the ocean and see where you want to, where you want to build.
All right. Very cool. Well, first of all, I want to start off with a shout out to our classrooms. Thank you so much for the classrooms that joined us today. It's great to see our group in Toronto, our Eco Club backstage as well. Thanks for those awesome questions. And Emmanuelle, thank you so much for taking us out on a virtual field trip today. For a lot of us in Canada and the US right now, there's lots of snow around us. So it's nice to see the ocean, see things a little bit warmer. And I hope, you and the team have an amazing expedition.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you to everybody who attended today. And I was very happy to share this expedition and our work with you all.
All right, excellent. Well, we hope to see more classrooms joining us as this week continues. And of course, into March, we have a whole brand new collection of live lessons coming your way. But for now, we're going to sign off. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you.